Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fragrant Bunker. We're going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while now, and that is cheapie perfumes. And to me, after analyzing them a lot, loving them, using them, making videos about them, I have really come to the conclusion that cheapies are the new niche. Actually, cheapies are niche. You don't even have to say are the new niche. Cheapies are niche perfumes. Now, hear me out. Perfumery and perfumes in general, very fascinating. We have had the last release of wonderful new perfumes by big brands, big houses like Dior or Guerlain or even Chanel. In the 80s, late 80s, like magical time for perfumes, and also in the 90s. After that, the golden age of perfumes started dying. Sure, there were still some oddballs that had success that were released in the early 2000s, maybe even in 2010. But, that big event, pre-internet event of a perfume launch that would then, if it's a European brand, it would first hit Europe, then slowly after that, it would arrive to America and then worldwide. That slow growth and distribution of a perfume was something also magical. If you would flying was not that easy and affordable as it is today in some cases, and duty-free shops would also be the thing. A popular perfume at the time would be smelled throughout the airport and the airplane everywhere. When Poison by Christian Dior was released in the mid-80s, 85, 86, 87, because it took it years to get released worldwide, you couldn't fly in an airplane without at least 10 women wearing Poison. And we're talking original formula of Poison. The Bath and Body range was huge. I have a video on all of the Poison editions, also on my channel. Go check it out. The attention to detail, the effort and money put into creating the bottles, the shapes, the packaging. Every new perfume had its own special design, and there was a lot of thought that went into it. Then slowly, perfume houses got greedy, and they thought to themselves, oh, it's really expensive. The more time passes, the more expensive it gets to launch a new perfume. Now, when Chanel or Dior or Hermes launch a new perfume, it's billions, not even millions anymore. It costs them billions in advertisement, shooting the ad campaign, buying all the ad slots in fashion magazines, television, on social media ads. So releasing new perfumes kind of became something too expensive, unnecessary, because why should we release brand new perfumes when we can? Look at the marketing team's thinking, when we can piggyback off of the success of the perfumes we've already released. Now, perfumes that have already been released and have been super popular, the more time passes, the more trends change in perfumery, and maybe some bestsellers from the 80s are no longer bestsellers in the late 90s. So what do? How can we still profit off of those perfumes that people still remember, but they might not smell as modern anymore? Well, let's release a flanker. Flankers started killing the releases of main new fragrances. Matter of fact, even, Chanel fell victim to it, or rather perpetrated such offense with many, many flankers of Allure Homme. I'm very surprised that they haven't started doing flankers of blue, although they have pushed concentrations of blue to the point of no return, where I feel like the latest one that they released, Blue L'Exclusive, that seems like it's a flanker of blue rather than another concentration of blue. But Allure Homme has had many different flankers. Poison has had many different flankers throughout the decades, including some that have been discontinued, like Midnight Poison. But we've seen Tender Poison or Tendre, Poison Tendre or Tendre Poison. And then we had Pure Poison. We've had Midnight Poison. We've had Hypnotic Poison. And the latest one would be Poison Girl. Poison Girl has its own flanker. So Poison Girl is a flanker of Poison, but Poison Girl has its own flanker called Poison Girl Unexpected. So you can see, I mean, it's just, it's tragic, really. So then came the brands that are not as popular as the big ones like Dior and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, everything I say in this video is for entertainment purposes only, not rooted in truths or facts. Everything's alleged, just my opinion. And I'm not sponsored by any of the brands I'm talking about, by the way, nor am I affiliated with any one of them. I'm just sharing with you my honest opinions. Then came these brands that were not as popular and big and worldwide mass releases like the ones that I mentioned. And they said, you know, let's focus on perfumes and perfumery that is not mass released, but that really focuses on good quality ingredients. It's not so streamlined, not so mass. And we can focus really on concepts of ideas in perfumery. And so the niche perfume market was born, even though we already had niche before, but it became more and more visible as main perfumery started dying out, the flankers started coming in, and then you had brands like Comme des Garçons, which also has mass release, but it was considered niche. You know, in the late 90s, they released this niche series of 3 incense perfumes. The 5 incense series, Jaisalmer, Kyoto, Zagorsk, Avignon, and Ozarzate. So those 5 were released. And then you have like niche houses that started experimenting. I mean, you could, well, Sheldrake, who worked with Chanel, was also working on another brand that we all know, including one that did Tuberose Criminelle. And then we have brands that slowly, from kind of alternative more than niche, became more and more popular. We then also have in more modern days Frédéric Malle, that is no longer considered really niche, even though it started off being such, like giving the perfumers the name of the perfume, so that Frédéric Malle encompasses perfumes created with freedom given to the perfumers that create their own perfume. So there's many different perfumers working for Frédéric Malle, giving one of their favorite formulas. So Dominique Ropion did Carnal Flower, for example, within Frédéric Malle. But then you had brands popping up more and more saying, we're not known for anything. We're not known for fashion. We don't come from a heritage of perfume making. For example, who comes from a heritage of perfume making that does not fall into that category would be Patricia de Nicolai, comes from the Guerlain family, but the Guerlain family allegedly didn't want to give her the artistic direction of Perfumes Guerlain because they wanted to give it to a man. So, but she studied chemistry, so she founded her own company. So Patricia de Nicolai, who always when she works, she wears a lab coat. She's very professional, very medicinal that way. Makes wonderful perfumes. One of the best tuberoses I own would be Number 1 Intense by Patricia de Nicolai. So we have Nicolai, who kind of becomes niche because she's pushed out of the family, the Guerlain family, and starts her own brand. Now, we all love it and respect it very much, so she has quite a few stores around. Yes, there are definitions of what niche means, what your distribution has to look like in order for you to be niche, where are you allowed to be sold, where you're not allowed to be present and sold with your product in order to be named niche. But quite frankly, all of those definitions, the longer a certain subgenre exists, and the more those definitions become blurry on a moral level. Maybe not on a mathematical level, but they do on a moral level. So why am I saying this? Because more and more brands started popping up that don't really have heritage in perfumery, but they're like, you know what? There's money to be made here. Why? Because they cost a lot. People charge a lot. Look at Nasomatto. They charge a lot, but they don't really advertise. Niche, part of being niche is also like we don't invest in advertisement campaigns. We don't invest billions in advertisement campaigns. It's all about word of mouth. Now, I understand something being word of mouth if the quality is good, but if the quality isn't there, who's going to talk good about you? And yet, people started saying, back in the 2010s, oud started becoming a trend in Occidental society. Dior Collection Privée came out with Oud Ispahan back in 2012, a rose oud. The only oud I own. I'm not a fan of oud, but we're going to get to Collection Privée in just a second. But as more and more brands started popping out with this idea, you know what? Let me make a little niche collection of perfumes. Distribution and little, candy not selling actually candy, but by candy boutique, I consider those boutiques that are like very conceptual, They don't have to be necessarily high end, but they're very selective about what they sell. It's like a little boutique shop where you enter and there's a piece of furniture to sit down. Everything is like a gallery space and they have like 3 items placed in the room and you can buy those, that's the vibe. That's where niche started rooting itself and then expanding more and more to the point where now when you go to perfume fairs like Essence, there's more niche releases being launched and also more niche brands being launched yearly than there is mass-released items, mass-released perfumes. So it has come to the point where niche has become more mainstream than mainstream perfumes. But mainstream perfumes don't really exist anymore because they profit off of flankers of what their mainstream releases used to be. So now mass-released perfumes are kind of in the flanker category, while niche has become the mass-released category, of which they do not invest a ton of money in advertising because they want to stay niche. So it's kind of more cool to be like, if you know, you know. Mass-released perfumes from very big brands wanted in on the if you know market. So they carved out niches for themselves, the luxury niche, hence the Hermès range of perfumes, the Dior Collection Privée, which was then renamed Maison Dior, which was then renamed Collection Privée at Dior, which is why we got Louis Vuitton perfumes, which is why we got Chanel Les Exclusifs, completely rebranded back in 2006-07. Before that, they did have 4 exclusive ones, but there was never really a market to give them a name of being Les Exclusifs. So they added another few of them, and then they re-released all of them. Like I think it was 11 at the beginning, or 7. And then they kept expanding them, but then Chanel got its Les Exclusifs. Then Dolce & Gabbana have their exclusive range of perfumes that you can get into in their boutiques. Givenchy had their exclusive range. Yves Saint Laurent had their Vestiaire like collection something. I have a couple of their perfumes like Grand de Poudre and Vinyl. So major brands wanted a part of that market as well. So they started releasing their niches, which are not really niche because everybody knows those brands. But they released their version of like more hard to get perfumes because they're only available in a few more select stores, but also online. So niche keeps expanding. Now a lot of companies pop up on the market, not going to mention any names, that sell you literal shit. It smells terrible, but they charge you a lot, hundreds of dollars, sometimes even over 1,000, because they claim it's the special ingredients, the savoir-faire, and especially have a lot of straight guys who are like into liquor and watches, and then they think like, yeah, good perfume has to have that quality of like the whole vibe of how they sell it to you, how they keep them in these temperature controlled rooms like they would keep cigars or wine. That whole mentality and way of dressing has kind of translated into the specific niche. It's all for show. It's like just might as well put your balls on the table, measure them, your dick as well. Who has the longest one, call it a day. It's become that vile. Then enter the content creators who talk about niche, and these brands, they don't spend billions in advertising in Vogue, but they do contact content creators that talk about perfumes. Hence why you see many of them talk about niche, telling you how amazing the perfume that they just got for free is, and telling you you should buy it too for $600 a bottle. Stories and myths are born. The whole history of Creed, Aventus, we all heard about that one. What they're trying to sell you, what it is, but then the company sold, and now apparently they're being briefed. The salespeople are being briefed to not talk about the heritage of the brand. I mean, it's all a big mess. Um, and you have more and more niche becoming mainstream. And you have more and more content creators talking about niche as if, it's like, oh, of course you got to know about this. If you love perfumes, you got to try this. You got to own this. You got to have this. And then they're going to have their little walls behind them filled to the brim with all these niche perfumes that most of them they got for free. But they want you to spend money for them. They might get a commission if you use their code, coupon code. We don't know, but it's a possibility. And it's gotten to the point where there's so many niche releases, and a lot of these people, and I have some insiders from the perfume industry telling me, Dacob, a lot of these people start these niche companies of perfumes and they think, oh, we can make money so fast. And then they get so disappointed and upset when their companies flop and fail quicker than it took them to build them up. Why? Because the quality is shit. The product isn't good quality. And there's already a ton of them out there. Most of them dupes of Baccarat Rouge, by the way, which already is a perfume I loathe. So you can imagine then a niche one trying to imitate Baccarat Rouge, because that's the olfactory scent signature that everybody's going for at the moment in perfumery. It's so annoying. I can't wait for the time that that trend is over, especially also the ouds, not a fan at all. So now you might ask yourself, Dacob, you've been talking for 20 minutes about, or 17 minutes about all of these other things. You never mentioned Cheapie. We're getting there. I realized some time ago that all of those mainstream perfumes, from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, that were, or even from the 30s, I mean, we're talking really decades and decades, even 100 years, that were amazing, groundbreaking, the real groundbreaking perfumes. Where are they today? Some brands have played their cards very well, like Chanel, and they have kept Chanel number 5, even 100 years later. They have kept it at a level of prestige and pricing that is incredible. For them, incredible. Bad for us because the price keeps going up. But the quality is still there, very stable. But where are the perfumes that have gone forgotten? That I crave still, that I think about? My mom's favorite perfume is Giorgio Beverly Hills, Attilano Aliano, Bob Aliano, I think. Yeah, released was the perfumer. Giorgio was released in 1981. It rocked the world, literally. It marked the beginning of the 80s, the beginning of that wonderful decade in the best way possible. Now, that perfume had a lot of musk and civet in it, and it was very, very obnoxious. It has been reformulated nowadays. Here it is. Man, this is, oh my God, what a beautiful perfume. Anyway, Bob Aliano is the nose behind this one. And 1981, it was released, and it was expensive. And there was also an extrait, like a parfum available splash bottle in a beautiful little yellow satiny box. You open it, yeah. And then it kind of, throughout the decades, was forgotten. And then I think Elizabeth Arden bought it up. And now it's available again, right? But it's a cheapie. I got a full bottle at Ross the other day for $19.99, $20. And then, I started thinking, oh man, I love Cacharel. Whatever happened to Anaïs Anaïs? Late 60s release. Yeah, it's available, and Cacharel is doing the L'Original, trying to bring it as close as possible to the original formula. It's a cheapie. And then I was like, oh, the 70s. Man, Oscar de la Renta. Yeah, it's here. Full bottle. $19.99. Got it for $20 at Ross. It's a cheapie. But there's a very limited amount of them that represent the past in such a beautiful way. They are like history books that we are lucky enough to still have, that we can open up and read. Yes, some people love to buy the vintage perfume. It's turned black after 30 years because it oxidized and the vanilla changed color, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are still amazing even after 100 years. It's not like perfume expires. If it goes rancid, it goes rancid. Some don't. Some have really good fixatives in them. But what I noticed is that niche is everywhere. Cheapies aren't. You have to go to specialized places to get a cheapie. And yes, you might get lucky, and on Amazon prices fluctuate, but you might get lucky and you might get them on the day when the price gets reduced really considerably. But other than that, you go to Ross, to Marshall's, CVS. Sometimes you can get like a $40 off, 40% off coupon for one product. TJ Maxx. It's like there's just those like 4 or 5 places where you go to find a cheapie. That's way less places than you would go to find niche. So that's already more limited. And they are silently distributed. No advertisement. Nothing. No promotions on television. Nothing. This is the true word of mouth after decades and decades and decades. A perfume is there, silently waiting somewhere at the bottom of a shelf at Marshall's for $20. Smelling, even though it's been reformulated, but it's been around for decades. Okay, 40, 50 years. And you smell it and you go, oh yeah. And yeah, if you're going to charge $20 instead of $200 for it, it's not probably going to have the same gravitas that it had when it was first released. And a lot of people are super upset because they say, I hate reformulations. I've given up that battle. Oh, reformulations are bad. They're not always bad. This is a beautiful, beautiful version of Giorgio. And this is the way I see it. It's tweaked for the times we're in. It smells just right for now. That makes it even more niche. It's cheapies are perfumes that have been around for decades and have fallen off of the pedestal of being the best seller in the world, but have managed to withstand the test of time without disappearing completely, but rather being still in production on a much lower scale with a much smaller distribution, but they're not gone. They're survivors. That is true niche to me. It's like after we've been through the trends, after we've been at the top of the world, we've been through it all, and we've fallen off of grace from the stars to the gutter, we still survived. And you can find us, but you got to go hunt for us, especially if you want us for that cheapie price. And for me, cheapie is like $20 or less for a bottle. That's kind of my own personal category standard. And by the way, when I say cheapie, it's not by any means derogatory. It's just a definition for a perfume that is like $20 or less per bottle. And I find it quite endearing, the word cheapie. It's like little cheapie, cheap, 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 cheap. It doesn't, I don't use that term in a derogatory way as at all. It's a whole category. Matter of fact, niche, I find quite derogatory nowadays. When you say that perfume is niche, I go like, oh, okay, no, thank you. You know what I mean? But when you say cheapie, oh, I discovered a really cool cheapie. Oh, my ears perk up. I'm like, oh, let me try it. Let me try it. But if you say, oh, I just found out this new niche brand, I'm like, yeah, thank you. No, thank you. So there's this wave that is kind of coming upon us of cheapies. And I'm telling you, it is the new niche. Cheapies are the new niche because they're still not that popular, because these mainstream big, content creators that have a huge following, they don't talk about them. And they don't talk about them for many reasons. One, because most of them have no clue about perfume history. Two, because cheapies, the word says it, cheap, they can't earn big commission if they sell you a $20 bottle. They can earn way more commission if they manage to sell you a $600 bottle. So it is also in their interest to keep pushing onto you the niche because they can make more money off of it. Now, people like me who are honest and are not sponsored are going to tell you the truth. The fact that so many people are not talking about this on their channels is because they either don't know about their existence, A, or B, they think they're too cheap for them to make money off of them. But what I've noticed is that when I talk about cheapies on my channel, those are the videos that get the most views at the moment, but also the most comments, because these perfumes have history. People remember something from their past connected to these perfumes, and I get the most wonderful comments under my cheapie videos because people share their memories of their loved ones, family members, friends, what they experienced together with this perfume. You get a beautiful glimpse into the past, and I always say that perfumes are best time travel machines. They really are. They trigger such wonderful memories. Sure, sometimes perfumes also trigger bad memories, but for the most part, they trigger good memories. And people sharing these memories, telling me when I mention, a certain type of cheapie, here's another one, gray flannel. People say, oh my God, does that bring back memories? And people talk, and then they kind of want to go into that direction, and they're like, oh, let me look, maybe I can find again the perfume. And I realize that we as a society, we have come to the point now where we are craving this memory. We are craving this connection to the past. We are craving these type of perfumes, but they're not readily available. Why? Because they're niche. Cheapies are niche, but then nobody talks about them, makes them even more niche. But whenever I talk about them, I realize there is a need for them. People want to hear about them. People want to relive these memories. It's more than just consumerism a la, here's a $600 niche perfume. This is amazing. You gotta have it. If you don't have it in your collection, you're not a serious perfume collector. That's all bullshit. Don't listen. That's just awful noise. Okay, that's just trash. You gotta focus on what is really important. Memories, emotions, deep emotions, what connects you to the history of your past, your friends' past, your family's past. And perfumes are a wonderful link to connect all the dots, especially perfumes that have been around for decades. Most niche brands that have popped up in the past 5 years, most of them actually pop up on the daily. There's no heritage there. There is no history. There's no story. There's no connection to our past, to our roots. Perfumes are fundamentally important And the best perfumes are those that actually deliver a connection to the past. Niche doesn't do that. Niche is quick consumerism. Cheapies are an authentic link to the past. And then there's that extra added bonus of you having to hunt them down. You don't have that with niche. With niche, you know which brand sells what perfume. You go specifically to look for that perfume. It costs what it costs. You buy it, call it a day. I had to go hunting to at least 3 Marshalls, 2 TJ Maxx's, and 5 Ross's to find a bottle of Giorgio Beverly Hills. It's not readily available, not for this price. You can get Giorgio for $70, but I want the cheapie price, $20. So you go on a hunt. You don't go on a hunt for a cheapie. For a niche perfume, because you know where they are. With the cheapie, you don't know. You have to really discover. You have to hunt. And that extra added level of connecting with our roots and our instinct, human instinct of a hunter, boy, oh boy, do I love that feeling. Like when I kind of connect to my roots and I have to hunt down a perfume, the hunt is half the fun. And then when I find it, oh, the satisfaction, you got it for $20. You come home and you open a niche, never gives you that vibe. And it never will. Because it's made to make money. It's not made to preserve something. Cheapies, they don't really make a lot of money, They're not readily available either, but they preserve heritage. They preserve memory. It's like when I find a cheapie from the past that is still in production today, it's like all of a sudden an ancestor is humming a lullaby or a song or a chant about my past. And I want to hear it. And so I get the cheapie, I smell it, and all of a sudden the whole history is back. And new stories are being told, and new connections are being formed, because the older you get, the more experience in life you have, and the more you get to understand certain things. There are certain nuances of Giorgio that I didn't understand 20 years ago. I do now. And I'm so excited to learn what else it has to tell me 20 years from now. Same with, a lot of different ones, Anise as well. And all of my cheapies, I have here way more. I don't want to show them all because some of them want to keep as a surprise, because I have a couple of other videos coming out and I've never shown these to you yet. And there's a couple of them that I'm just like so tickled to like show them to you. But no, the mystery is also a part of it. Finding them out, putting the puzzle pieces together, that doesn't happen with niche. It does happen with cheapies. They're amazing. Cheapies are niche. Cheapies are the new niche, and cheapies are the true niche. Trust you me. And I always say, you don't need to spend a lot of money for that something to be actually good. By that I mean, just because a perfume is extremely expensive doesn't mean it's good. And just because a perfume is very affordable, under $20 for a full new bottle, doesn't mean that that perfume is bad. Not at all. Actually, on the contrary, it just proves to us, if you can get a perfume that good for $20 or less, maybe, just maybe, all of those niche perfumes that are being sold to us for $600 plus, maybe, just maybe, they're kind of ripping us off. Maybe, just maybe. And maybe, just maybe, we should stop and think about who we listen to on social media, who we trust when we're told, oh, this is amazing, you got to buy this, use my coupon code for 10% off. But if I manage to sell you the perfume for $600, then I get 25% commish. Shh, don't tell anybody. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you how much percentage of commish they get or what sort of deal they've done behind the scenes with the niche brands that you got to have if you're a serious collector. We don't need all of that. We don't need any of that. We have to listen to ourselves. And the fact that most of us already had these perfumes in the past, either because our parents had them, our grandparents had them, or maybe we had them when we were younger and then forgot about them. The fact that they're somewhere in our memories still, anchored in a nook. Nook actually comes from nikya. Nikya actually comes from niche. That's what niche means. These perfumes anchored in a nook inside of our memories somewhere. We've either already had them or we still have them somewhere in our closets. The fact that they're still there, the fact that they're actually still in our memories is a true testament to how incredible they are and the power that they have. And it also shows us that we already have the best things. We don't have to be looking for the next best thing because we already have the best. We already have it. Our own niche within our own nooks, or in Italian you would say nicchia. We find them hiding, waiting for us. They've always been there. And those are the cheapies. Cheapies are the true niche. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts down below about this concept, and let me know if I should make some cheapies are niche merch. Just an idea. Maybe I can make it if you want it. Let me know down below. Love you loads. Until next time, never forget to never give up on niche, cheapie, true niche. Love. Love you loads. Bye.